Hello and welcome, Dota fans! Here I am, CC, bringing you a private lobby in the in-house series from the Reddit Dota 2 League. This is just a for-fun game, not actually part of the league, of people just, messing around in private lobbies, getting to know other people, and having fun. So this is just a good time for me to learn how to, cast better, get a little bit more used to it, a little bit more experience under my belt. So since these two don't have team names, I'm going to be casting it under the Radiant and the Dire. So band stage are already done with the Lifestealer and the Nyx banned out by the Dire, and the Bat and the IO banned out from the Radiant. All very common bans. There's nothing new here. Everyone knows that the Lifestealer and the Nyx, they're not fun to lane against. They're not fun in the late game. The Nyx can just pick off supports. Lifestealer carries the entire game. It's kind of insane. And then there's the Batrider and the Wisp. Batrider and Wisp both very, very good at punishing out-of-position players. So if you're slightly out of position, a Wisp teleports on top of you, a Batrider pulls you out, it's over. So the Radiant just doesn't want to deal with that, so they ban those two out. They then pick up the Darkseer, while the Dire picks up the Shadow Demon and the Gyrocopter. Darkseer able to pull people out of position, so it looks like they want a little bit of that power for themselves, really. Just a very good offlaner. I've seen him played middle, not the best. Decent jungler, so he's a versatile pick, but almost always run as an offlane. Shadow Demon and Gyrocopter then are going to be picked up for the Dire here. Shadow Demon, one of the most ubiquitous supports. He is very good with his Disruption, Shadow Poison, his ultimate Purge. I mean, the extra damage. He puts out like 50% extra damage with the Soul Catcher. So he is a very, very good support in helping out. Just put out a lot of DPS. Gyrocopter, one of the biggest carries right now. He can do early game, he can do mid game, he can do late game, pick up a couple rapiers, and he can do ultra late game with the best of them. That flat cannon really just allows him to kill everything within about 1,000 range, so there is nothing that he can't do. Queen of Pain then picked up by the Radiant, looking for that AoE there. Another very versatile pick. She has been run safe lane lately, a couple games, by professionals obviously, but they have been trying that out, trying to see what it would be like down there, and it's worked with mixed results. She's alright in the safe lane. It is a little bit rough though with the bottle nerfs to be able to have 2 bottles, so it is tough there. So it's still usually a mid hero. So that means they're just looking for their 2 supports and their carry at this point, if they're going for a tri-lane or something of the sort. Keeper of the Light and Puck are the 2 ban outs. The Radiant here is just banning out heroes that they don't want to deal with, and the Puck goes right along with that. Puck is very good at helping more or less shutting down the Queen of Pain mid. It's a relatively even matchup, but with the phase shift, dodging the Shadow Dagger is relatively easy, so it is a very annoying pick to go against the Queen of Pain. So the Radiant here will just ban it out and just say they don't want to deal with it. The Dire banning out the Keeper of the Light and the Luna. Just looking at the supports and the carry, because the Radiant does need 2 supports and a carry at this point. Possibly a semi-carry, carry and support, depending on how they want to run things, but most likely looking at tri-lanes, as that's just the in-meta right now. So, banning out the Keeper of the Light, very annoying counter push. They might be going for some kind of push lineup between the Gyrocopter and the newest pickup, the Leshrac here. Leshrac very good at knocking down towers, clearing creep waves, stunning up early game. I mean, it's a very good early game stun if you can land it. It is tough to land, but coupling that with the Shadow Demon's Disruption makes that significantly easier if you can time it correctly. That's all about timing, because they come out of the Disruption and aren't instantly stunned. The Darkseer, the Queen of Pain, something like that can surge, blink, they can get out of the stun. And once they get out of the stun, there's no guarantee of a kill there, as the Shadow Demon doesn't intrinsically put out a lot of damage. It's a lot of setup and a lot of bonus damage, but not much damage himself. So the Leshrac will be a very good addition there for them with that Shadow Demon. Jakiro then banned out. Definitely a good ban, and it's another support. They just don't want to deal with it. Rubik being picked up for the Radiant here, very solid support pick. Has a reliable disable, sorry that's the word. He does have a reliable disable in the Telekinesis, which picks someone up, throws him down some distance away, can land multiple stuns. So far the Radiant has just been all about these versatile, very very ubiquitous, easy to use picks between the Rubik, the Queen of Pain, and the Darkseer. All of them have seen a lot of play. Most players are very comfortable with those picks, so it's not a very outlandish lineup, and it is a very solid one. Right now, the Dire still looking for their mid hero and their offlane hero. They might want to run an aggressive try at this point. An aggressive try with Shadow Demon and Leshrac is doable. With the Gyro, it's not perhaps the best. I personally would put it in a safe lane, but it is doable there, and it does have a kill potential, especially because of that setup with the Shadow Demon, able to get the Gyrocopter in range for that Rocket Barrage, and Gyrocopter's base movement speed is relatively high at, I believe, 315 compared to most others around 300-ish. So having that base move speed advantage does help him stick to a target when he's trying to lay down all that Rocket Barrage damage. The OD picked up then for the Dire here, and that OD will be going up against the Queen of Pain in mid most likely, and that's a very, very good counter pick. OD will just, he annihilates the mid lane. There's no other way to put it. If you're against any kind of early game nuker, any kind of intelligence hero, any kind of anything.
Hello and welcome, Dota fans.
Oh Jesus, I'm sorry, I forgot to mute that. Oh man. Alrighty, sorry about that one. But as I was saying, the OD will just shit all over everyone in the mid lane with his Astral Imprisonment, getting him a ton of damage, removing all the mana from the enemy mid hero. The Queen of Pain will be just, he'll have 13 mana, and that'll be the end of that. And you can't blink, you can't scream, you can't dagger, you can't do anything with 13 mana. So as long as the OD gets a fast bottle and doesn't get destroyed in the first couple levels, once he hits level 3, level 5, somewhere around there, he will start to beat out the Queen of Pain if they're both played well. The OD also acting as a very good semi-carry, provided that the carries of the Radiant here do not go BKB. The Outward Devourer just puts out a ton of magic damage. It's actually pure damage, I believe so, but the BKB cancels that. So as soon as they possibly can, whoever can on the Radiant here needs to get BKBs. That Outer World Devourer is just going to be a huge nuisance unless they do. And that you can see why they banned out the Nakes very early. Nakes has an inbuilt BKB in that Rage. So connecting those two dots, if the Radiant was allowed to pick up the Nakes, the Outworld Devourer pick would not have happened or would not have been very effective, as the Nakes could just infest into the Queen of Pain, hop right on top of him, and the Outworld Devourer is just gone with no damage output, no nothing, thanks to that Rage. That said, looks like the Radiant here is going to pick up the Bane. Bane is good at locking down heroes. Definitely just locking down one or two heroes at a time is key for the Bane. So something like the Gyrocopter in the middle of a fight, Fiend's Grip can be devastating. Especially if the Gyrocopter picks up a BKB, he's going to be a lot more aggressive. He's going to think he can do a lot more. He's going to think he can really take the fights pretty much by himself. But the Bane with his Fiend's Grip locks that down immediately. And even early game, if they put out the Enfeeble, that lowers the last hitting percentages there for the Gyro very, very heavily. So looks like the Radiant is just going to need to pick up one more carry, while the Dire here are probably looking for an offlaner. Maybe something like the Clock. The Nature Prophet was banned out by the Radiant here, recognizing the need for an offlaner. So they did ban out the Nature's Prophet. Nature's Prophet could jungle as well, so they might be looking for something like that. Looking for the Clockwork, I would imagine. Possibly a Windrunner if they're looking for a little bit more damage, a little bit more lockdown. The Windrunner is also a viable effort here. On the other hand, the Radiant looking for a carry. Most of the carries have been banned out, and as you can see, the ban coming out of the Anti-Mage, as Anti-Mage would pretty much decimate the Outworld Devourer, especially once he got Manta. Having 3 different people mana burning all over the OD there is just, it's devastating. If you can't have any mana, you don't do any damage. Once you don't do damage, it's over. But that said, OD would counter that very easily with his Orb, as his Orb does extra damage to illusions. So it is a toss-up there as to who would win, but they just didn't want to take that chance. And they do choose to go for the Bounty Hunter, so that's going to be their offlane. Dragon Knight going to be the hard carry for the Radiant here. So it's looking like the lanes are going to shape up with the Dark Knight, Rubik, Bane, tri-lane, possibly an aggressive one if they feel like it. I wouldn't do it there personally. I don't think they have the kill potential for it, as Rubik and Bane are both relatively low damage supports. Queen of Pain mid, Darkseer off lane. Against the Dire here, going Shadow, Gyro, Leshrac, tri-lane, Outworld middle, and Bounty Hunter off lane. looks like the general format. The lanes could shift depending on if the Dire here do an aggressive tri-lane. I would really hope the Radiant would not, as, just like I said, the Rubik and Bane don't have enough damage to efficiently pull off a tri-lane like that. So the Radiant here should be going safe lane, and a safe lane tri-lane against the Bounty Hunter will shut down the Bounty Hunter most likely, as long as they just buy sentry wards. Legitimately, if you can buy sentry wards and harass the Bane a little, or harass the Bounty Hunter a little bit, he can't do anything. So buy sentry wards, 200 gold investment, perfect shutdown for the Bounty. Getting into the game now, we're still waiting on 2 from the Dire, so I'll go introduce the Radiant first. Looks like we're going to have Yildego on the Bane, Sterling Archer on the DK, Zuram on the Rubik, Spirit on the Darkseer, and Locke on that Queen of Pain going middle. On the Dire here, looks like they've all picked up, so E4H6 on the Outer World Devourer, Metamuted on the Gyro, Hawk on the Shadow Demon, Renegade on the Bounty, and Razzo on that Leshrac. Everyone's moving off to lanes, and it looks like it's going to be a safe lane tri-lane. Oh, but the supports have seemed to rotate a little bit off lane here. Maybe they're just going down there to ward or something, as the Shadow Demon and the Razzo both have wards here. Big penis being drawn on the map. I really appreciate that one. But looks like, yeah, they're trying to get him to do an offensive tri-lane, but Metamuted is having none of that, and apparently just wants to go hang out in that lane. Paul is coming out from the Dire to address that issue, I'm sure. E4H6 going mid lane here, starting out with the Mantle, so they just have, you know, a bunch of extra stats there. Spirit going off lane here, just scouting out the rune. It looks like he is given the wards, which has been key ever since 6.78, when they have lowered the initial starting ward count to 1 set of wards instead of 2 sets of wards. It has been commonplace to send the wards to the off lane instead of this lane, instead of the safe lane, just so that they can get better ward coverage on that side. Pick up the Death Prophet and the Pirate Cat. Oh no, Axe. How can you not go with Axe? Just for fun there. Why not? And then looking at this tri-lane, it is going to be a very interesting try-on-try situation here on bottom. It's going to be a defensive tri-lane, a very, very defensive tri-lane coming out from the Radiant here with the Rubik and the Bane, and that's really going to serve to hopefully just shut down any aggression that's going to be coming out from the Shadow Demon Leshrac combo. They do have sentry wards as well as observer wards, so they are most likely going to attempt to shut down the poles and just nullify any advantage you can get there, while still trying to pour on the aggression. So Sterling Archer does have the haste rune starting out, but doesn't look like he'll be able to do much with it, as he is a DK. He has chosen to go for the Dragon Tail first, which is definitely a good call from him. Metamuted going flat cannon first, which is a little bit odd. Usually you see people go for the rocket barrage, just based on the absolutely obscene damage it can do at level 1. It's one of the best, if not the best, level 1 skills in the game currently, as it just, especially if you can focus on one target, you do 110 damage a second for 3 seconds. That's 330 damage at level 1. That's ridiculous. Spirit and Renegade here are going to be trading blows on the top lane, and I would assume Spirit would win this lane, especially once he gets something like his Soul Ring up. Once he gets something like a Soul Ring or something of that sort, Arcane Boots maybe, if he decides to just tank it right till that route, he will most likely be able to win that lane. Locke already having to spend his salve, and like I said in the draft, Outward Devourer just annihilates this lane. He can trade hits with Queen of Pain all day, unless Queen of Pain does manage to go down here. Looks like someone's giving up first blood, and it's going to be that Queen of Pain. Outworld Devourer then ticks over half a second later, but the Queen of Pain does go down first, and that's huge. While they do both get those kills, they get the gold from those kills, the important thing here is that the Outworld Devourer gets the experience. So the Queen of Pain here, level 2.5, Outward Devourer, a full level above just from that exchange. He also TP'd back into lane, whereas the Queen of Pain preferred to buy the bottle and walk back. So TPing in will allow him to get that level 4 unharassed and completely unchecked by that Queen of Pain. Slight misplay there from the Queen of Pain, perhaps being a little bit hyper-aggressive, but I can see the draw of being that aggressive against something like an Outworld Devourer, because otherwise, if you don't get that kill, if you don't get early advantage on him, you're never going to get an advantage on him. That said, it was risky, as now that he doesn't have... He lost that advantage given the first blood to the Outworld Devourer. He no longer has any kind of advantage outside of that bottle. The bottle will definitely be a huge help for him, but the Outworld Devourer will grab the rune mid and kind of slow down the bottle charges coming out there. And that DD is going to allow him to harass like crazy on the Queen of Pain and get these last hits with relative ease. He also has finished up the Null Talisman. That'll boost his damage a whole bunch too. E4 OD getting Shadow Struck up and Locke running away there. And it looks like there's going to be some aggression down here. Metamuted getting disrupted and stunned. Yudago puts the... Oh, nope. Flat Cannon coming through and killing off Yudago despite the Nightmare going out on Metamuted. But the Dragon's Breath cancels the Nightmare and allows him to just flack away onto that Bane. As far as the lanes go so far, the Darkseer is currently winning the CS war at 15-1, up against 9-1 on that Bounty Hunter. So, as expected, he is winning that lane, and it looks like he will likely be going for something along the lines of the Soul Ring. So, another couple hundred gold, and he will be able to get that. As far as mid goes, the Outworld Devourer, as predicted, is kind of just beating up on this lane. 4-0 on the Queen of Pain. He is just getting absolutely shut down, and that's got to be absolutely miserable for him. He can't do anything here. His mana is just getting constantly sapped. He's losing 5 intelligence at a time, so it's just not going to be fun for him. Once the Outward Devourer does get his bottle, if he chooses to go that route, it's going to be even tougher. So 17 for 7 against 4-0. Going to be a huge swing there. Bottom lane here in the Tri versus Tri situation, Metamuted is getting a little bit less farm than the Dragon Knight. Dragon Knight at 12-3, Metamuted, the Gyrocopter at 10-4. So he's not doing quite as well, but they did get that kill on the Bane. So Metamuted at level 3, but the Dragon Knight getting a little bit more experience at level 4. So the Dragon Knight is definitely getting the better part of this Tri lane. All of the supports are relatively even as they're all at zeros. And initiation will come out from Hawk. Shadow Strike, or the... Barrage coming out on Sterling Archer. Sterling Archer taking tons of damage thanks to that Disruption and Soul Catcher combo. Soul Catcher really doing a ton of damage there. And as you can see, even just 20%, that's 20% of every hit. So it's just a huge amount of damage coming out. And you can see the well-timed initiation there. Hawk using the Disruption. Razo following that up with the Split Earth. Really slowing down eliminating actually any chance that they could have come up for any kind of air between strikes. And the initiation will try to come out. E4H6 pulling out the oh wow, huge damage coming out from that ultimate. Sterling Archer will go down to the Leshrac. E4H6 with that initiation. Shadow Demon with new initiation on Zerm. Zerm looks like he's going to be going down, but so will the Leshrac here. Leshrac goes down to the Radiant, but the Rubik also going down. Initiation continuing with E4H6 disrupting the Yudago here on the Bane. Does allow him to dodge the homing missile, but it's not going to matter as the Outward Devourer picks up another kill on bottom lane. And that rotation netted them quite a few kills here, pretty much destroying and absolutely routing that Tri lane. While they did lose the Leshrac, there is a huge difference there between losing the Leshrac and losing the entire Tri lane. So that's going to be a huge swing in the favor of the Dire here. And it looks like the Darkseer is trying to dive a little bit on the Bounty Hunter. Bounty Hunter definitely getting a little bit low, but he is able to escape using that Shadow Walk and just basically running away. Track is up on Spirit, and that helped give him a whole bunch of extra move speed there on the Bounty Hunter, so he was able to just get on out of there. Tri lane on bottom here. Huge wave pushing in thanks to the diving well below those tier 2 towers, or tier 1 to tier 2 tower area. So that will start basically this giant wave of experience and gold for Metamuted. Metamuted is up at level 5 here now, and that is contrasted to the level 4.5 of the Dragon Knight. And that really goes to show you how well that massive killing was. All that experience getting loaded up onto those heroes, as well as Sterling Archer and his team being down for that entire time, gave him a huge advantage. It looks like there's going to be initiation onto middle here on the Queen of Pain. Disruption coming out. Razo coming through with the stun before the Queen of Pain can blink, and that's going to be a kill on him. Getting that stun in before the blink could come out is absolutely huge. As long as they can do that, they can manage to get that Queen of Pain kill, as long as they can kill him within the duration of that stun. But that stun timing, like I mentioned earlier, was going to be huge. Queen of Pain just did not have the time to blink out, and that made that kill possible. So very good play coming out there from the Shadow Demon and Leshrac roaming combination, and E4H6 just kind of reaping the benefits there at almost level 8 and at 25 last hits compared to the Queen of Pain's 15. So he has a solid 11 last hits above him, as well as a solid 2 and some levels above as well. Hawk just spending that time warding up around the middle lane. Metamuted Renegade came down here to help out the gyrocopter apparently. He wasn't getting much in his lane, so he's going to try to throw out some tracks, probably attempt to get a few picks and get a little bit more gold and experience for his team, rotating in as many as they can outside of the Outworld Devourer. There are 4 down on this bottom lane now, and the Outworld looks like he may be coming down. Might just be going for the rune, but nope, he sees there is no rune there and is waiting for the 8-minute rune, but it looks like there's going to be some initiation down here on Yedego. Yedego taking the Zenyatta hit and a couple extra hits, but nothing coming of that. Stun going out on Renegade, but they use that to disengage. Disruption coming down, and Razo about to throw out the stun, gets the stun down on Yedego. Call down comes down, and Gyrocopter gets the kill there. That's going to be huge there. And now, instead of a 4v3, it comes down to a 4v2. So I'm not sure they can really hold this tower too much. The saving grace here is that the Dire don't actually have much of a creep wave. Meanwhile, Locke is coming down on E4H6. Renegade comes in. Locke wastes his blink, trying to blink right next to himself, attempting to disengage, it looks like. Huge damage coming out from the ultimate from E4H6, and Locke has pretty much 1 hit left. He has 9 HP, and Renegade must have just been slightly AFK there or something, as he chose not to engage upon a 9 health Queen of Pain, sparing Queen of Pain her life there. Spirit looks like he's gonna go down here. Bunch of damage coming out on him. The track is out so they can see where he goes, but that surge not looking like it's gonna save him from the Outworld here. 1 more hit and he will be going down, and there he goes, down to the Outworld Devourer. Bane is in a little bit far now against 5 on 1 here. The stun is a little bit off by Razo, but it's not like it's gonna matter. With that many heroes grouped up on there was no way the Bane was gonna get away. So that's a 2-for-0 trade there, and that all started with a slightly failed blink from Locke, as he blinked what looked like from right there to right here. So that just is not allowing him to escape. Isn't really doing much anything for him other than blowing that cooldown. So definitely going to be hurt for him. And Razo throwing out the Edict here, level 2 Edict, helping to push down that tower, doing a ton of damage to the tower, but being forced back. And the Scream of Pain coming out, taking down the Leshrac in one huge burst between the Scream of Pain and the Sonic Wave being used there, doing tons of damage. And now the Radiant have grouped up 4 mid, so it looks like they're going to attempt to push or something of that sort. So the Outworld Devourer, all healed up, has come back in, and his ultimate is not up, so they will not have to push into that, but he is only about 700 gold away from the mech there, so that will be a huge item when it comes up, pretty much serving to cancel off a full Scream of Pain out of the Queen of Pain, helping to mitigate that huge damage there. Another couple hundred gold and he'll have that, and then they can really take those team fights. Metamutant has finished the phase boots and getting very, very close to the Yasha. I don't think he got the... Oh yeah, no, he did get the full Yasha. Full Yasha flying out on the courier, so he's doing quite well at 31 and 6 at 10 minutes in. So he's doing reasonably well in the farm department, getting a bunch more than his counterpart in that tri-lane, the DK, who is currently at 24 and 3. Initiation coming out from E4H6, but they are just going to back off as that is far too far between the towers for them to really want to dive on that. Meanwhile, with all those grouped up mid, Locke is getting farm on bottom, while Spirit is getting farm on top. Spirit is going to TP in, and there was some initiation there going out on the Bane, but nothing to really follow that up on. Queen of Pain does finish her treads, just getting some quick and easy stats there. And a little bit of extra life, a little bit of extra damage, mana if she feels like swapping those over to Int. So this will be a good pickup for her, and will hopefully allow her to survive a little bit longer in these fights, especially if she gets disrupted or something of that sort. The Dire here are using a lot of time and effort trying to push down in that middle lane, and absolutely nothing coming out of it. On the bright side, though, the Radiant were doing the same thing. They had several grouped up at middle, just trying to push that tower out, but there was nothing coming out of that advance, so everyone just kind of backing off, but the Radiant are slowly grouping up towards the middle again, possibly looking for a kill on this Outworld Devourer, though they are lacking slightly in long-range initiation. The only thing they could really do there is the Queen of Pain slow, and you hear the initiation blink in and a slow, coming out the Outworld Devourer, but good reactions, and just Astral imprisons Locke as soon as he sees that coming. So that will slow down any initiation attempt they want to have. Bottom lane here, Renegade just trying to farm up, get a little bit more gold. He has his phase, he has a bracer, and he just finished his magic wand, so he's doing reasonably well for an off lane, well, a safe lane rather, but a one-on-one, a safe lane solo against a Darkseer. He is at 31 and 1, while the Darkseer is at 52 and 2. So the Darkseer definitely got the better side of that lane, but it's not to say the Bounty Hunter did particularly badly. He just didn't do quite as well as a Darkseer. Darkseer's now resorted to farming the jungle creeps. he does get quite a bit of golden experience from these, and it makes it very easy with that Soul Ring and the Arcane Boots, giving him all the mana he could ever want. So he will be able to farm those up relatively easy. Bottom tower going down here to Renegade and Razo, but the Dire does get the last hit, so that gold is spread evenly. Locke initiating on Metamuted here, guts the Scream up, but a huge TP reaction. Locke trying to get that kill, but does not manage it before he dies. Getting caught under that perfect disruption there. Spirit with the, slightly mistimed stun. Spirit coming out with the Surge, allowing him to get away. Mistimed slightly by Razo, allowing the Darkseer to get away. And that's what I was talking about. They need perfect timing there, especially because the Spirit already had his Surge put on himself by the time he got disrupted. But the Surge's duration is 4.5 seconds, while disruption is only about 2.5 or so, if I recall. Yeah, it's 2.5 seconds. So there is an extra second of that Surge that they had to contend with. So the Leshrac did not nail that stun perfectly, and I mean 100% perfectly. It has to be every time. Otherwise, the Darkseer will get away in that situation. So, slightly unlucky there by them, but still a good initiation overall. Forces the Darkseer to back out a little bit. Locke trying to go on Hawk here. Blinks in, doesn't quite get the Shadow Dagger off as he gets a little bit out of range, but he is still going to follow him right into Metamuted. Metamuted dropping the rocket, disruption coming out, as well as the wall being dropped on that ramp. Perfect position for the wall, and Locke will get stunned up, but looks like he will get away, as that wall providing the perfect disengagement. As to chase, the Dire had to come up and down that ramp over and over. Locke trying to re-engage. Locke in way too far right now. Is going to manage to get away thanks to the Surge from the Darkseer. Call down missing just slightly, and the stun coming out from Razo also missing just slightly. So he will manage to get away there, though, by the skin of his teeth. Locke playing very, very aggressively on that Queen of Pain, and he has managed to capitalize on 2 occasions, getting 2 kills there, which is definitely good, but he has died 3 times, which is a lot for a Queen of Pain, especially considering how bad he got shut down in that mid lane. It is going to be a little bit rough for him going into this mid game, as he only has his treads right now. Looks like the bounty hunter is just looking for a couple damage here coming out on Locke, and he does get the Zenyatta and the initiation not getting quite there with the damage, as that Shuriken just is not quite enough damage to take Locke down, and Locke throwing out the Scream of Pain as well as the Shadow Dagger is able to ward him off. Looking back to the mid lane, the tower does go down there, and oh no, must have gone down a little bit ago. Oh no, right there at the bottom. Tower did go down to the Dire, not quite last hitting it by the OD. And the OD has finished his mech, so that will be huge. And looks like Rubik stole Astral Imprisonment. That could go a long way towards mitigating this OD's intelligence advantage. Going to be a huge steal there from Rubik, just trying to throw that back at him. That said, Rubik will not quite have the mana to sustain constant spamming of that, as it's a very high mana cost spell at 180 mana. The OD can mitigate that with the Essence Aura with 1300 mana thanks to that, as well as the chance to gain back a ton of mana, so that's going to be huge for him in sustaining that. Spirit trying to engage here, but he does get homing missiled up. Renegade just trying to engage under the tower, but he does get Scream of Pain and Shadow Daggered away. But the wall getting thrown out, but is just out of range. And initiation coming out from Locke. Locke throwing out the Scream of Pain, getting stunned up. Good double stun there by the Leshrac. Scream of Pain thrown out there, and it will get a double kill for the Queen of Pain. Sonic Wave managing to take down 1 or 2 there. E486 trying to engage on the backside, throwing out the ultimate as well as the Astral Imprisonment. Getting Astral Imprisonment himself, but the Gyrocopter will pick up the Queen of Pain on the backside. Looks like the Outworld Devourer is in a little bit of trouble now. Call around coming down, and the Sanities and Clips are getting thrown back, right back at the Dire, as the Outworld Devourer did not send back any kind of spell in between his ultimate and Rubik stealing that. So that was a good turnaround, just not quite enough damage. It's going to be a 2-for-1 trade, trading the bounty for the Queen of Pain and the Darkseer. That's going to be a very good trade from the Dire's perspective here. Metamuted has gotten up that Helm of the Dominator, so he will be able to put out even more damage, so that'll definitely be a bonus for him. And that'll also allow him to farm up Ancient stacks, farm neutrals pretty much whenever he feels like it. And there is only a single stack down here, so they haven't started stacking that up quite yet. But with time, Razo has finished his Arcane Boots, and that will definitely be very helpful for him in throwing out as much of his ultimate as he can in the middle of team fights. And that'll just augment their damage. He's not looking to be a source of damage, of massive damage, but just kind of augment what they can. Sentry ward thrown down here. It looks like it should have vision of this ward, but they just don't have the flying vision, or rather the ward vision, up on one of these ledges to be able to de-ward that. So there will be nothing coming out there, but E4H6 is going to snag that haste rune. And he never did go the bottle route, which I can understand. Most mid players do tend to go bottle just for the regen, but he managed to do it just fine without that bottle, and for that I can commend him. And it saved him 600 gold and an inventory slot, and allowed him to get into that mech much, much faster. Looks like Dragon Knight's just kind of pinging out the jungle, recognizing that the Dire is likely there, and he's on his way towards a BKB, it looks like. And there's going to be an initiation on lock, maybe? Nope, Hawk decides not to take that chance. And E4H6 finally throws out the Astral Imprisonment, but it's not looking like there's going to be much, if any, follow-up, and the Queen of Pain does manage to blink away there. No follow-up. The Leshrac was not there with pretty much their only stun, so they will not be able to lock the Queen of Pain down there at all. Renegade sitting on top of this hill does go invisible, so the Queen of Pain can't quite find him, but just kind of waiting and lurking in the background, watching the Rubik throw down that ward. And they may or may not have really seen that, as the Rubik kind of just turned around, so they might not know that ward was there, but that would be a huge boon if they could de-ward that. And it looks like the Gyrocopter gets a solo kill on the Darkseer. That's a little bit strange, but throwing out the call down, getting the damage out there, and he is doing quite a bit of damage right now at 138 or so. So he is definitely has the damage to do it. It's just a little bit strange to see a Darkseer getting solo killed by anyone. Initiation coming through a middle lane. Renegade, Fiend's gripped up. Ultimate coming out from E4H6, killing off the Rubik in 2 hits real quick there. And there goes the ultimate, getting a triple kill. I mistook that. I think the... Oh, wow. GG. Oh, no. GG being called by Metamuted. A little bit of all chat right there. But the ultimate was thrown out by the Rubik, I do believe. He must have still had Sanity's Eclipse, but it did not do nearly the damage that the Outworld Devourers did, as Outworld Devourer has significantly more intelligence than the Rubik. A little bit more trash talk coming out, and Metamuted just trying to call GG, it looks like, but Zoran, just a whole bunch of BM stuff coming out through the chat. Initiation from E4H6 there on Sterling Archer, but nothing really going to come of that, as they are just going to back off a little bit. Just keep farming up those creeps in mid lane. E4H6 hitting quite hard now for 100 pure damage on top of his 140 or 130 or so Astral Imprisonment and just damage. A lot of that augmented by the Astral Imprisonment. Sorry, losing my train of focus there. Looks like they're going to go try to Roshan, with one TPing up top. Renegade just trying to ward off the damage to the tower up here, while the rest of his team goes to Roshan. The Radiant may not be fully aware of that, as they do not have any wards in that region. They did de-ward this ward, which was very helpful, as they did watch the Rubik throw it down, so they were well aware of that ward being there. And the Bane looks like he's going to throw down a Sentry ward and grab the regen. Oh, nope, just going to deny it. Metamuted seeing that happening. All thanks to this ward, the Dire has perfect vision of anyone trying to come into this. Razo picking up the Medallion of Courage, knocking out a couple damage or a couple armor from Roshan, allowing them to take that down a little bit faster. Metamuted picking up the Eagle Song as well as the Aegis and the Immortal there, so he is going to be a little bit more reckless now, able to just kind of throw him into any situation he wants, with tons of damage, tons of survivability, and a whole extra life given to him from that Aegis. He did choose not to go back for the Manta style though. He picked up the Yasha for that little bit of extra damage and move speed, but he decided to go straight into the Butterfly instead of going back and finishing up his Manta. I think this is actually a good decision, as the Manta would not provide a whole lot to him. He has plenty of survivability thanks to the Outworld Devourer and the Shadow Demon's disruption skills, allowing to knock him out of the Fiend's grips or stuns or really anything they want at that point, allowing him to survive through a lot more than his life would indicate. So going for that damage is going to help him a lot. The evasion isn't going to be huge. It'll slow down the auto attacks coming out from Sterling, but that said, Sterling Archer is not very farmed at this point in time. He has not even finished his BKB yet, but he has got his treads up, and he does have his level 2 dragon form, which will help him out significantly in those fights. But as you can see up to now, he just has not been an influence. Despite his 85 last hits, he hasn't had really any influence on the game itself, thanks to the snowballing of the Outworld Devourer and the Gyrocopter, as well as the wonderful support play coming out from the Shadow Demon Leshrac combo, really helping to lock this game up for them so far. just going into the net worth charts, just take a peek at those. Gyrocopter is leading the way as expected. He has nearly 10,000 gold at this point. Next up is going to be 8,000 with the OD and 6,500 on the Bounty Hunter. So they're all doing relatively well. Highest on the Radiant is actually going to be the Dragon Knight with 5,500. So he is a solid 4,500 gold behind that Gyrocopter. And that's really becoming evident in these fights that they're so underfarmed, with the supports of the Dire here really having almost as much gold as that Queen of Pain is alone. Initiation will come out. E486 throwing down the ultimates with the Gyrocopter ultimate as well. Not doing a whole lot. Wall coming out. Big vacuum wall. Huge ultimate from the Queen of Pain. Will pop the Aegis and kill the Leshrac. E486 though coming in and right-clicking away. Ultimate thrown back from Bane. He will get Fiend's Grip out on the Outward Devourer, but he will die in the meantime. Gyrocopter coming in with the flat cannon and just right-clicking down everyone. That's going to be a 3-for-1 so far, and the other two on the Radiant are very, very low, allowing the Dire to take this tower. That mech coming in huge there and mitigating some of that damage, and just the Queen of Pain ultimate and the vacuum wall combo really allowed them to have any chance in that fight. Without that combo, they wouldn't have had any chance. They would have evaporated. Getting the Leshrac down immediately, as well as popping that Aegis on Metamuted, really kept them in that game, and that fight will just prolong the game at this point, as the Gyro is nearing 12,000 in net worth. The DK still sitting at 5,500, so he did finish his BKB, which will be a huge plus, as that OD's damage will go down quite a bit. Instead of doing 250 damage, he'll only do 127, and that pure damage mitigation is going to be the reason for that BKB pickup. It allows you to actually survive against an OD, because if you don't have that, the OD will just chew through your life points as fast as humanly possible. And the 4-staff pickup on the OD is going to help him out with positioning, getting in and out of fights, but it's not going to help out when that Bane Fiends grips you, as saw in that last fight. Luckily, he was able to get away thanks to the Gyrocopter respawning after that Aegis pop. So the Gyrocopter respawning there might have actually saved him, as it allowed him to astral imprison himself and kind of just come through and get out of that fight and back off, recollect himself, pop the mech, whatever he had to do, and re-engage and start dropping out as much damage as possible. Very aggressive wards coming out here from the Dire, with one deep in the jungle and one watching this overpass. Pretty much 3 different connection routes here, all being watched by this single ward, so very good placement there. And this ward, always one of the favorites once you start pushing into an enemy base. You allow just a ton of vision into the jungle, into this bottom lane here, and into the mid lane, pushing up around this area. Dire here are just going to take away an Ancient stack, and it looked like it had to be at least a triple Ancient stack, as there were 3 different there, and it looks like an initiation coming out here from the Dire. Stun going out on Udego. Udego will just melt. He absolutely evaporated. Zuram stealing Astral Imprisonment again. Going to be a good spell to steal, but as seen in the last couple fights where he had it, it was not game-breaking, so good spell to steal, but perhaps not the absolute best he could possibly get. Roshan respawns in 5 minutes. The Aegis has already been popped, so you don't have to worry about that disappearing on him. And they will just proceed to push into this top tower. Tier 2 tower, it's the last one on the map for the Radiant here, while the Dire have every single one of their towers still intact, so huge advantage coming out there. And just looking at the gold graph here, you can see that advantage coming out. It's a 20,000 gold advantage for the Dire here. And let's turn off that graph. It might be a fight here. Spear gets disrupted out, but they will just disengage, and seeing that Bounty Hunter off to the side, but it is no matter, they cannot actually chase him. Metamuted has finished up his Manta style, so he has gone back for that, giving him a little bit more survivability, giving him 2 illusions to play around with when pushing those bases. Just try to push in the base. It'll go a long way towards breaking the base there, on getting onto the high ground and pushing down those towers. Also provides a whole bunch of extra DPS during team fights, so he will be able to hopefully get that off, confuse the enemy a little bit, and just get off some extra damage there. E4H6 and Hot pushing out the bottom lane here, just trying to do a little bit of pressure, putting on a little bit of pressure, and just making sure the Radiant can't actually push up that mid lane. D-Ward coming out from Udego here, allowing them to kind of limit a little bit of the vision. I'm not sure if that was an Observer or a Sentry. I'm guessing it was a Sentry, since they already have their 2 Observer wards out on the map. So just kind of limiting what they can and know about that map. Looks like there will be a BKB pickup coming from Locke. He is quite a ways away from it, as he only has the Ogre Club and nothing else in his inventory or on the courier, so he is several thousand gold away, and that'll be a long time coming, especially considering his net worth is only 5,000, so he is definitely very underfarmed compared to the Gyro, who has a 15,000 net worth. Let's just let that sink in. That's the DK plus the Darkseer plus the Queen of Pain, all combined, pretty much is the Gyro's net worth, give or take a couple hundred, maybe 1,000. That is just going to be huge, and they're even stacking up the Ancients to get even more farm up on that Gyro. Failed stack there by about a second or so, but that still leaves a double stack, and that's still going to be huge for him to get a bunch of extra farm, and not like he needs it, but hey, you can always use more damage. He is going to put a little bit of momentum on that top lane. Things just kind of becoming a little bit more passive now as the Radiant is trying to settle down into that 5-man dodo and try to group up and stay together so they don't get picked off one by one, allowing the Dire to win a whole bunch of fights in a row like they have been. Sterling Archer is tracked up, so he will retreat slightly, but that BKB hasn't come into effect yet. He is still on the 10-second charge, so next fight, I'm sure it will come out in a lot more force. There is initiation coming out from Outward Devourer, and huge damage coming out from that ultimate already. Almost all of Bane's health being annihilated instantly by that ultimate, but they choose to disengage, force staff away, and back off, because the rest of his team just wasn't quite there yet. So slightly premature initiation, hoping to get a one-off kill on the Bane there, but not quite getting enough damage to knock him out in one hit. But he did get within one auto attack of it, so very close. Bane now back up to full health thanks to the Brain Sap as well as a salve. And Sterling Archer didn't pop the BKB there, but he did pop his ultimate, get the range and the splash going. So if a fight does break out, he still has that BKB. Locke 600 or so away from the club, so he's got still quite a ways to go. But Darkseer has finished up the pipe, and that'll be hugely helpful in dealing with some of the Leshrac damage, some of the Rocket Barrage, the Call Down. And there will be initiation from E4H6 with Astral Imprisonment getting thrown out against the Rubik, just trying to lower his mana a little bit, take a couple more intelligence for the Outworld Devourer himself. And no real initiation coming off that, just a fun little harassment there. Looks like the Radiant are going to try to push this tower a little bit, perhaps not getting all the way in there, but it looks like the Dire are just hanging out around that Roshan, respawning in less than a minute, and they'll just be looking to take that as soon as it's back up. So they're just trying to keep their advantage there. No wards for the Radiant here have any vision of the Roche Pit, so there will be absolutely no inkling of anything going on. Metamuted, knocking out that stack real quickly before the Ancient, picking himself up another couple hundred gold before he picks up Roshan, rather. Roshan respawning in 25 seconds or so, and that will be the place of the next fight. I'm not sure that the Radiant can really afford to let this Roshan go. If they, I mean, they're going to have a tough time now. They're down by 25,000 gold and 20,000 experience. I'm not sure that they could take a fight now if everything went right underneath their tier 3 tower, but with an Aegis on the Gyrocopter or the OD, most likely going out to the Gyrocopter, I would imagine, but on an Aegis on one of them, there's absolutely no way the Radiant can take a fight, and they realize it. They're not even trying to contest this, and they have to know what's going on. They have to know there's no Dire hero on the map, and that Aegis on the Gyro is going to be huge as soon as they choose to push in the next lane. Roshan just absolutely melting out all the damage on top of that Medallion of Courage. And it looks like Razo's coming out and trying to get a BKB himself. Outworld Devourer getting force-staffed himself in front and throwing out the Astral Imprisonment on the Rubik, looking to pick off that Rubik before the fight even begins. Zuriam throwing back the Astral Imprisonment, but he will go down, and that's another track kill, getting a bunch more gold at the Dire's pockets. 18,200 on the Gyro, 11,000 on the Outworld Devourer, and about 10,000 coming out for the Bounty Hunter. And that is very contrasted towards the 7,500 DK, 6,500 Darkseer, and 5,500 Queen of Pain being the next three on the list. And that is almost a tri-core lineup pretty much. But they might have picked a little bit greedy. They just did not have quite the lineup to be able to contest the tri-lane on bottom. And that hurts them in this game. Wall being thrown out, Spear going down, Outworld Devourer throwing out his ultimate, Sterling Archer showing off that BKB and his ultimate, getting a bunch of damage out on Razo. But Razo choosing to run away and just not go down there. It's a 2-for-0 trade right now. Razo does go down though to the Fade Bolt. Locke initiating in, throwing out the Scream, but it looks like he will go down to the Bounty Hunter. In the meantime, Zuran going really low to that call down, and Sterling Archer choosing to back off a little bit as well. Outworld Devourer is extremely low right now, so he may go down very soon if they choose to initiate again, but they could choose to back off, but there are 2 heroes down for the Radiant and 1 for the Dire, but they will choose to just go straight on in this tower. The Outworld Devourer has gotten a bit more health now, though he is taking a little bit of damage. Meta is Fiend's Gripped up, but that is cancelled immediately. And the Bane will evaporate to that Renegade on the Bounty Hunter. Having that Desolator really allowed him to pretty much just 2-hit the Bounty Hunter. And that is going to be a mid-Rax, it looks like. There's not much that they can really do. Spirit throwing out the vacuum, but not enough damage to kind of push anyone back. Another triple stun coming out from the Rubik, but once again, they have all these stuns, they have all these repositioning, but they don't have the damage. Mid damage goes down without too much fight. Locke trying to initiate in, throws out the Shadow Dagger and the Scream of Pain, and getting surged ahead, and he will try to chase them down. Another Scream of Pain coming out, Renegade running south, but the Metamuted will run north. He is going to try to re-engage. Slight misplay on his part. Is he going to dodge that last hit? He does dodge the last hit from Sterling Archer, and that allows him to get away with that track movement speed. Huge, huge save there coming from the Butterfly, allowing him to get away. That said, he had an Aegis, so he would have just popped the Aegis either way, and it wouldn't have mattered. He does have his BKB finished up now, and that will be huge in mitigating all the damage from the Queen of Pain, the Dragon's Breath, the wall damage. It's going to be a huge pickup for him, allowing him to be even more survivable in fights. They didn't even manage to pop the BKB there, though, so they or the Aegis rather there. So they have another 3 minutes on the Aegis. And the second tower going down to the Radiant here at the mid lane. They just kind of push that down while everyone is laying on their heels on the Dire here. Hawk coming in, picks up a 4-staff since last I saw him, as well as getting the Void Stone pickup from the secret shop. Gem up on Leshrac for the last little while, allowing them to deward and all that. He's no closer to his BKB really. He's about to pick up the hammer if he wants to. He'll have the gold, but we'll see if he will. Sheepstick coming out on E4H6. Going to be another huge pickup there, allowing him to initiate in. Astral Imprison, he doesn't have a real hard disable, as Astral Imprisonment is a lot like Disruption in that it just takes him off the map. It doesn't do any damage, doesn't allow you to do damage to him while he's gone, it just allows you to take them away for a little bit. Sheep, on the other hand, will allow him to get a lot of solo kills and just be able to completely eliminate one hero from the game, or from the fight rather, not from the game, but one hero from the fight immediately upon it starting. Initiation coming out here from Razo. Razo almost getting away, but the Queen of Pain dropping her ultimate in the Sonic Wave and taking out his last little bit of health. Renegade trying to initiate in, Locke popping the BKB. The Outworld Devourer is here though, and 2 hits Locke. Yadego throwing out the Fiend's Grip and the wall getting dropped down, but they will evaporate to the Outworld Devourer's huge orb damage. Gem is on the ground. They're just kind of camping around near it, trying to drop something to pick it up. Outworld Devourer will drop his magic wand and pick up the gem. And you can see that was almost a fair fight until the Outworld Devourer came in, dropped his ultimate, and almost killed the Bane with just his ultimate. And 2-hit the Queen of Pain. Granted, she was on low life, but she did have her BKB popped, so it wasn't even like he had the benefit of the pure damage coming through there. DK will disconnect off. Not sure if that's a rage quit or what, but it looks like it very well might be. No one pausing for him, so he might have said something to his team to indicate that he was not coming back. Oh, nope, he has reconnected. Never mind. It must have just been an internet drop. No one paused it. Not a whole lot. Gain or loss there, so there's going to be pushing in from both sides here. E4H6 and Hawk pushing in on the bottom lane, while the Creeps push in the middle lane, and the Gyrocopter Metamuted pushing in on that top lane. They're going to be knocking down all the barracks at the same time. Mid barracks already gone, top barracks about to be gone if they don't react to that. But they all react to the bottom lane here, but they don't even choose to go in. Sterling Archer pops the BKB preemptively, throws out the Dragon's Form, but he can't get near anyone. All of the 4-staffs away force him to waste that BKB, and there is just absolutely nothing they can do. Astral Imprisonment coming down on Yadego here, and the Gyro still pushing in the top lane, does manage to get the racks, and there has been absolutely no reaction. With that BKB, with the Aegis, there's not much they could even really do to him. The Aegis is getting reclaimed in about 3 seconds though, so he does have to be a little bit more careful, though not unduly so, as he is extremely healthy and very survivable at this point. Stun going out on Spirit after the disruption, and that Scythe of Ice paying dividends there, killing off the Bane in a couple hits. Wall getting thrown out along with the Scream of Pain. Mech'd up though. The Leshrac will survive with plenty of health after that mech. E4, H6 attempting to engage back in, and they will all just run away. Metamuted coming in with the BKB, dropping the call down. Call down misses everyone, but he's doing huge damage. Locke getting purged up, and allows the gyrocopter to clean up that kill despite the BKB. Metamuted hitting for huge amounts of damage. Sterling Archer gets the stun out. Stun coming up from the homing missile from the Rubik. And E486 does get 4-staffed in, but there's no one even attempting to initiate on Metamuted here. So it looks like they will just take the bottom racks without contention. And that will be all but one of the racks. Metamuted getting Astral Prison. Disruption going out on the DK, and the Bane's Fiend Grip getting cancelled immediately. Bunch of damage coming out from the Brief Fire coming out from Sterling Archer. Zoran getting sheeped up. E486 getting nightmared down. And Hawk taking the nightmare for him. E486 throwing out the ultimate, doing tons of damage to the Radiant team here. And Zoran almost going down just from that ultimate alone. So, huge damage. Metamuted going through. Does manage to get the kill on the Rubik there with his call down. He is going to tank some fountain damage and give up his Beyond Godlike streak. Buy back into the game and start his long run back. Locke throwing out the ultimate, not quite getting the kill on Razo though, escaping with a solid 75 life. Renegade is being able to be seen underneath the fountain there. Razo will get cleaned up by the Queen of Pain. Locke pushing them out of the base here, but they only have one barracks left. Renegade going down on the bottom lane here to Sterling Archer with that stun and the Breeze Fire, as well as the Dragon Form paying dividends. Locke pops the BKB, disruption coming out from Hawk, but he will go down here, it looks like. Udego getting the Purge out on him. Not going to do a whole lot as he is right next to his base, so he is able to just basically run away from that. They have lost the last racks here to the creeps, so it looks like there will be mega creeps coming out for the Dire, and that will be huge in allowing the Dire here to end the game relatively soon, as it's almost impossible to keep the mega creeps out from knocking on the doors. As you can see, the creeps do 58 damage here, 50 damage on the small creeps, and that isn't even mega creeps. They get doubled for the mega creeps, 100 damage on the small creep, on the melee creeps, and the range creep I can't even click on because they're all so closely grouped together. There we go, 133 damage on the range creep here. So that's going to be as much damage as more than most of these heroes actually, doing tons of damage. And Locke will absolutely melt when the sheep comes out from E4H6. Doesn't even need to throw out the ultimate or anything else for that matter. Just the sheep and a couple right clicks will knock him down. And thank you all for listening to my cast today. I hope you've enjoyed it, and I hope to see you again. I will be casting here periodically. I'll be attempting to cast some more Reddit Dota 2 League games and in-houses when the time comes. I will be casting on this Twitch channel though, so it will be twitch.tv/ccdota, that's SEEC Dota, and there's just some last fights going on. I'm not going to bother with these. There's going to be some damage coming out from either side, but looks like Metamuted has picked up his Divine Rapier, so as soon as he comes in, this will be mostly over. Game will be over as Shadow Demon kills the throne. Come find me at youtube.com/ccdota, twitch.tv/ccdota. So hit me up if you want a cast. I will gladly replay cast any game you want. Thank you for letting me cast you today, and I hope you enjoyed the Dota. Thank you, and have a great day.